You're listening to Traumedy, the podcast that helps you take your pain and play with it. I'm Nancy Norton. I am a former nurse, a comedian, and I studied therapeutic humor for the last 3 years, and I present the power of humor at conferences. I want to give a special shout out to the Nurse Educators Conference of the Rockies. It was an amazing time up there. I did 3 presentations. I did a keynote presentation, and then I did a stand-up comedy night, which was so fun. We had so many improv moments with the attendees. It was a very collaborative event, and then we finished it out with an improv team building workshop I call Practicing Playful Presence, where you get to apply some of the things you learned in the power of humor. So that's my way of saying, book me at your next conference. Yes, I love working in healthcare conferences, but the power of humor also applies to businesses of all kinds. We have Nurses Off the Charts comedy shows coming up. The next one is July 18th in Seattle, and then Springfield, Mo, my hometown, July 28th, back in the Queen City of the Ozarks. My friend Christy Buckley will be joining me there, and then we're going to go have some time on the lake. Go down to the family lake cabin at Table Rock Lake, which I'm really looking forward to. One of my favorite places to go. Very serene, very relaxed. We have a special guest this week. This is the end of Traumedy Pride edition. We recorded this at the very end of June, which is Pride Month. Here it is July already. This is another healing episode. I have to tell you, I'm just so grateful for these conversations, people opening up, being vulnerable, sharing their process. It helps me understand myself better, helps me accept myself better and love myself better, and I hope it's helping you do the same thing. If you know somebody who could benefit from an episode of Traumedy, please do share the episodes. We really want to reach as many people as possible. That is my mission statement, help heal ourselves and others with Traumedy. So thanks again for listening and for sharing and for caring. You can find me through my website, nancynorton.tv, like television. Enjoy this episode, Traumedy Pride Edition. Welcome to Traumedy. My guest this week is a comedian and a violinist. Please welcome Addie Lynne. Woo! All right.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for being willing to do Traumedy, to talk with me about things that are painful and also funny. The whole point of Traumedy, since I know you haven't had a chance to listen to it or know about it too much, it is to help people who might not know or have the resource of comedy. Because I studied therapeutic humor for the last 3 years, and as a former nurse, there's still a part of me that wants to help heal people. And the mission statement is to help heal ourselves and others with comedy. And of course, it's not a replacement for trauma therapy, but it gets you by between sessions.
Absolutely.
That's what we say. So I'm curious, like, I know I met you, gosh, was it 2 years ago at Firecracker?
Yeah, almost 2 years ago at Firecracker. And we actually had the great conversation about Traumedy, and I hadn't actually started it at that time, but I was wanting to. So, comedy is a lot of young people. And so it was really cool to see Firecracker bring in somebody that wasn't like 25 years old, right? And so you're talking about me now. Yeah. Talking about old Nance.
Old Nance. I know, right? I'm really honored too that at this age, I've been doing this 35 years, and I was just telling you, we were just queuing up your track here, and I'm like, wow, I can't believe you've only been doing comedy a year and are this good. Like, you're just a natural, I guess, performer. I was so nervous. Like, I could hardly make words. Even now, I still have trouble making words and get nervous. So I'm impressed.
Thank you.
That you've come this far in such a short time.
Oh, I still get super nervous, but I think once that first laugh hits, it kind of dissipates. So
we just did this at the Pride Fest comedy show. And I'm curious too, there's so many ways my ADHD kicks in so fast and so hard, because I sidetracked us already from when we met. Here's what I remember from the conversation is mostly your essence. And, you reminded me that we met, and I'm like, oh yeah, I even remember where we were standing, and I had a really positive feeling and enjoyed the conversation. I cannot remember details of the conversation other than I had a good feeling, and I was looking forward to seeing your comedy and your journey as you have transitioned.
Yeah, I found comedy like right after my transition. So I had socially transitioned April about 2 years ago. And a good friend of mine who lives in Austin, she's been a comic for about 9 years at this point. And she had a show at the Denver Comedy Lounge. And up to that point, most of the comedy I'd watched is, specials, people that were big names and stuff. So seeing a showcase with like 8 comedians that were doing 10 minutes that were, more local, maybe people that were traveling but weren't big names yet. And I absolutely fell in love with it. And I started to search out more of those types of shows. I found, I think the next show I went to was Uncorked at Infinite Monkey Theorem.
Uncorked?
Uncorked.
Oh, Uncorked.
Yeah.
I thought it was like a theme show. I was like, wait a minute. There was a whole comedy show on corks. Oh, so yeah. So you started seeking out shows that were more of a showcase show so you could see a variety of acts.
Right. Rather than, stuff that was super polished enough for specials. I was seeing, all these different authentic stories of, different characters. And, obviously Denver has a lot of great comedians.
Yeah.
I was just hearing a very authentic story in that 7 to 10 minute sets.
And also that's I agree with you. I like seeing comedy when it's still sort of in its raw form. There's more energy to it. It's fun to see the evolution too as you go back and watch and see bits. If I still do bits, probably, God, I hate to admit, like 25 Easy Bake Oven, I have done for decades, and yet it still changes. Even now. So it's fun to see the evolution of a bit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And as humans, we are dynamic beings, as evidenced by you transitioning from male to female. I am identifying as non-binary these days, even though I always had the tomboy energy, but I didn't have that nomenclature and I didn't know how to embrace it. It was always something I got teased for as a kid, playing with boy stuff. And so we're dynamic beings, evolving as comedians and as people. That's kind of a cool thing, a cool marriage of, I think, with comedy and the human evolution.
Absolutely, yeah. There's a life to the jokes that evolves over time. And I love putting it out there, planting that seed with a new joke and watching it grow, new branches.
Yeah.
Maybe prune some stuff off and new stuff grows out.
Yeah, I love that. I love that tree metaphor. So when you say plant a seed, are you thinking to raise consciousness in yourself or in the audience or both? Or when you say plant a seed, I was just curious.
So in the way I was talking about it, I think more the seed of the joke itself. So when I write out a new premise and, may have a punch or two, it may not be very fleshed out, but until I actually plan it, until I throw it out there, start trying it at mics or whatever, it's not going to grow.
Yeah. Okay, so it's more planning the baby joke, the baby bit.
Yeah.
We call them bits in the business. Mm-hmm. And because some of our listeners are not comedians, it's more, well, some are, a lot are, but a lot are in all kinds of professions, nurses, psychiatrists, all kinds of, and just lay people. So I just want to make sure I'm not throwing the nomenclature around. But we, a bit, we call it a comedy bit. So you find this premise. I'm curious about your process because all of a sudden it came to me to ask if there's any parallels with music composition and joke composition and what your process of writing a joke is and expressing wounds.
Right.
Like we're going to talk about here in a second. We're going to play your opening bit.
Yeah, it's the, premise is the strongest part, right? We're trying to make a statement and we're doing it with humor. But sometimes it's got a message. For what I'm doing, I'm also bringing a message. I'm bringing myself up on stage, and my experience with transition through the jokes I'm doing. So I'm, helping educate people on my experience.
Raise awareness. So, and also way back, I'm going to go back to something earlier about getting that first laugh, because as a female comedian, I'm biting off a little piece, because it's a male-dominated field. And so I have to sort of convince the audience that women are funny. There's this thing in our culture that women aren't funny. I think that's shifting now. But when I started comedy, I mean, I was like out there. I didn't see other female comedians hardly ever. I was put 300,000 miles on my car. I was touring all over the country. We just weren't that many. There weren't that many of us. And now with you being a transitioned woman and you're coming out on stage, then you're more vulnerable than the average comedian. So you have a bigger curve to like, I have to, not only do I have to show you I'm funny, which is, not really what we're doing, but we are, especially when you first start out, you're kind of proving it to yourself and others. But also it's like, I have to educate you about something and then make a joke about it. Like the audience may not already know your common experience.
Right.
Yeah. Which is a much harder job. People like my friend Christy Bugley, who comes out on stage, she has cerebral palsy. She has a bigger job to do to get to that place of like, see me, not just, in this one identity. I'm a woman, or yes, I'm a transitioned female, or yes, I'm a person with disability, but I'm much more than that.
Right.
Yeah. It's a bigger job.
Yeah. My first newbie set at Comedy Works, that was part of the notes that I got was kind of like coming out on stage, like we do have to come out on stage every time we.
Thank you. Y'all can tell, right? Like, it's super obvious that I'm fucking hot. Right?
Right?
Putting the trap into thirst trap. I will say it is kind of challenging for some straight guys to accept that fact. I got approached after a show. This old guy comes up to me, he's like,
what's your deal? The thing with your body, like, what are you?
This body?
Yeah, so you got up there and I saw a pretty lady, but then I saw some masculine features, so I need to know what this means. It's kind of weird, right? This boner?
Same.
Yeah, so that's the immediate. Let's make our, facts known up front so you can
move on.
Be free to laugh at this stuff. And that's the other thing I've noticed too is, especially with queer comedy, with trans comedy, maybe sometimes some darker stuff, you sometimes have to figure out a way to tell the audience it's okay to laugh at these things, right? Like,
yeah. I'm going to say this too. I think you have to be a lot funnier than the average comedian to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because, especially we're going to play this bit. And it's like, I share some of my mama trauma. I don't think I always do a great job of it. I'm still working on making it funny enough so that I'm not just trauma dumping.
Right.
So that's something I still need to work on. I'm kind of a lazy writer these days. You get kind of spoiled when you have done it for a while, and I got sloppy where I used to sit down and really work down to the syllable and try and really tighten things up. So I have to acknowledge that about myself. Some work I want to do. You're inspiring me because, I'm impressed. Do you think this is a good time to play that bit, or do you want to talk a little more before we talk about?
Yeah.
Because what the thing we're doing here is showing like, okay, there's some deep pain. Like, no, I can't imagine anyone in our culture, in our society, who is in the queer community I guess it does happen. My own son is bisexual, and I don't think he's had a trauma around it. I really don't, because he even tells me, Mom, nobody cares anymore. But that's just because I don't care. Care is the wrong word, but I don't judge it. I celebrate whoever he wants to be. His friends are cool. But I don't know, man. I'm just trying to say, I don't know what I'm trying to say. In our culture, there's a lot of, if our parents aren't accepting of us, or if our family isn't, or our peers, it's a huge thing to honor yourself and go through the fear of abandonment. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a strong fear. It makes you do things, you're not that might not be congruent with yourself over.
Yeah, that's takes a long time sometimes for us to honor ourselves. Okay, let's see what let's see. I may change it. Let's listen. This was recorded at the Bug Theater in Denver just this last Saturday. Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah, that was so recent. June 22nd, 2024, we had a Pride comedy show at the Bug Theater. And here is Addie Lynne. And please give a huge Bug Theater welcome to Addie Lynne.
Thank you. Yes, I am new. A little bit about me. I did start comedy just over a year ago, which makes me a baby comic. I'm a toddler gay, which makes me a child predator. Yeah, I hunted down and murdered my parents' only son. Took so much privilege away from that sweet family. She slaughtered the firstborn and the golden boy. I say we burn the witch. To be fair, taking an average white guy off the board is a pretty solid move for society, so you're welcome. When I did transition, my mom said I would make an ugly girl, and that's wild because I'm like a hot version of her. And I'm only ugly on the inside, so...
Oh, wow, you bit off a lot right there of high concept humor, and I can feel people like, I think processing, like, what now? Wait, what does she mean? Yeah.
Yeah, I've noticed that it does sometimes take a few seconds to understand what I said there. It was one of those jokes I started with the rules of three, like I'm a baby comic, I'm a toddler gay, and a child predator.
Yeah, so help me understand that bit, because, okay, as a toddler gay, so explain it, because I honestly, part of me does not understand.
Okay, yeah, I mean, there's the term baby gay, right? For somebody that just comes out. And
right.
I've been out for a couple years, right? So now I'm a toddler. So I was making that comparison, just kind of going through the life stages.
Yeah. Baby,
toddler, and then child, which, was born of the premise that of what my mom said to me, which I go into in that next part of, in the next joke, which is the first thing she said to me when I came out, was that I would make an ugly girl.
Oh God. But then I love your joke about it, where it just gets released immediately, which is ironic because you're a hot version of her. And that's so funny. Is she jealous?
Probably.
I bet. Man, I love the part about taking, the golden boy, because were you the golden boy of your family?
Yeah. So, I mean, I was the firstborn, and I learned very young to kind of be a certain way so you could survive, right? So I was really good at playing that role. So I was considered the golden boy, right? Because my middle sister, so a lot of stuff went on to my sister, and I just kind of tried to toe the line, be the person I was supposed to be, and I was always this, a sense of relief. I didn't like when there was conflict in the house, so that's, I think, definitely where humor started, right? I like to inject some humor to try and not have...
To dissolve the tension.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you saw your sister's kind of a little bit of the scapegoat or the black sheep and troublemaker or maybe truth teller, or I don't know. But then this is kind of the blessing and the curse of being really adaptable and intelligent, that you're able to mask and conform and keep the family happy. And then at some point you realized what a sacrifice you had made. Maybe, I don't know, what was your process? Did you know or feel female identified from a young age?
Yeah, but I learned actually really young to suppress it. I was shamed pretty early for things that, kids don't really understand. Like, you're playing house and you're laying in bed with another kid, and their parents throw a fit because they don't think that 6-year-old kids should be in bed together, right? So they're the ones that sexualize the situation, and then
Yeah.
And then we got punished for something we were 6, right?
So ironically, they created that in their mind, and then they put it in yours, and you're just having fun. You know, I know when we played house, my dad used to say this: we would all fight to be the daddy. Because, I mean, let's face it, my mom brought him a cocktail.
Right.
That would be the daddy. Somebody bring me a drink, and I get to talk about me. But were you playing a female role, or just being in bed with? Just
being in bed. We were just, I mean, it was just
playing house.
Playing house.
Yeah.
But I know there was a lot of things throughout childhood that were like cracks peeking behind the curtain that the mask couldn't hold back, and I did a good job at suppressing it. So, I mean, I didn't come out until, my 40s. So.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know how old you are. So you're in your 40s.
Yeah. I just turned 46 last week.
You have that complexion that could be any age. Like I was thinking, I didn't know 20s, 30s. I didn't know you're in your 40s. So you just came out in your 40s. I want to hit the applause button. Let's do it. Woo. I mean, that's so cool. Wow. I think also it's so brave later in life. I feel like, because you've had this whole life, you kind of have to put a bookmark on a new chapter. And like we were talking about earlier, the abandonment, like losing friends, losing peers that maybe don't understand. I don't know what I don't want to assume, but have you had to create a whole new friendship ring, or have you had friends that are with you through the transition?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, overall, it's a lot easier having new people in your life when you transition, because it's difficult for some people. But I have really close people that I've had through my life, even before the transition, that I've kept. So, and there's people that are around. It's just, I think, not as close to some people after, but I did lose a lot of people from the transition. That's just, I knew that was coming. Not everyone's on board with that. So, and that's kind of the other barrier, I guess, like going up on stage with comedy, is you've got a certain percentage of people that right out of the gate, they don't like me.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. That's, there's prejudice and hate out there, except at a Pride show.
Right. Yeah.
So, I mean, we had, that was a wonderful group of allies. And I still have to go back to that one joke though, right before we leave it. Cause you said child predator, but help me understand what that meant. I still don't get that part. You're a toddler. I'm just slow. I'm sorry. You're a toddler, gay person.
And then a child predator, because I hunted down and murdered my parents' only son.
Oh.
And so that premise comes from something my mom said to me later down the line, which was she felt that now that I have, it's great because she tries to sound smart in her speak. So I still remember exactly the words she said in the text. She said, now that you have capitulated to the accepting society, I have decided that you are a monster that killed my son, and for that I regret holding you and feeding you as a baby.
I know people can't see my face, but it's just a lot. I think I need to give it space for everybody who hears that. Wow. For a mother to say that to her child, regardless.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a parent. I have a 19-year-old son, and
did I know this?
I don't know.
We both have 19-year-old sons.
Yeah.
Wow. So isn't that, I know things that my mom has said to me, I can't get my head around it. How I could ever say anything. I mean, sure, I nag him. Sure, I'm worried about you. I definitely am a mom. But to say something like that I regret feeding and holding you.
Yeah, that's like how it hit me. It wasn't like sad that she said, I mean, because she's trying to be as hurtful as she can in this situation. But the immediate thing I thought was, how I have a kid. I could never say that kind of stuff.
I know. And I think that I know that maybe the term narcissist is overused, but I do think sometimes it fits, and I don't want to make assumptions about your mom, but it's like my mother offloads her pain with complete disregard to how it impacts me, which is a lack of empathy. And to me, that's one of the biggest markers. I was taught this by the safe house when I had to escape a sociopathic abusive relationship, a lack of empathy and a lack of insight. And I think I'm just going to tell you, ooh, you've had a rough go there. I'm guessing, do you think she'll come around, or do you care?
I don't think so. I mean,
That's pretty fucking harsh.
yeah, at this stage in the life, when it comes down to it, is very narcissistic to react to somebody else's identity.
Yeah.
With your own, like, and I did, right? Like a lot of people, my ex-wife, other friends, not a lot of them, but you could see them trying and figure out what that meant about them when I transitioned, right? Like,
yeah.
I mean, I can see an ex-spouse, like, somewhat, but the way, like, it really was about her, right? Like,
yeah, made it all about her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, what does this mean for me? Like,
how does this reflect on me?
Right.
And I have shared on here many times, but sometimes I just can't say it enough. What my mother did, and maybe I did it right before you went on stage. I can't remember where I did it in the show that night. Just saying, my mother, when I came out on Evening at the Improv in 1994, told me, I will be an embarrassment to this entire family, and then tried to stop me with a suicide attempt 2 days before the taping. Made it all like just me being who I am. It wasn't about her, but she made it all about her. And I have to hand it to her. Tip of the hat, I always say, to Jenny Norton, because that is very controlling. I mean, that's like, it's almost like a mafia kind of thing. I'm not going to hurt you. I'm going to hurt your kid. I'm going to hurt your family. Like, because that's like my family all were mad at me because look what you did to mom. Look what you did to mom. They still feel that way.
Yeah. Well,
some of them.
Yeah. And that same message, she told me to unfriend her family from Facebook. Like, and that's the thing. She's so embarrassed for herself.
Because she's always tried to go under the radar and be whatever she's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And how does that reflect on her parenting?
Mm-hmm. How is that reflected on her role in her religion, that, church that she grew up, or that I grew up in?
Oh,
that she's still, they're still in that pretty heavy.
Oh, is it a very strict church, or just?
Yeah, it's like speaking in tongues and
evangelical,
washing feet, like Pentecostal based, and then it went through its own evolution. It was started by a guy who just always wanted to start a church, like.
So it's kind of a one of a kind, but it's based on Pentecostal stuff. It's like his deal,
like all home meetings type of stuff. Like, they didn't believe in like a church building. They tried to be, we're the true one.
Oh God.
So
and I have to say, God, I'm like, oh God, God is displeased. I know God, and I don't think God's down with this. Oh my God. So you grew up in that very rigid, it's a rigidity of like this. I don't know a lot. I grew up in Springfield, Missouri, which is a very, very religious place. And I had a friend took me to her church where they were speaking in tongues. And I was a little disoriented by that because we were just Lutheran. But then the way, like, she had to sneak jeans. Oh, that was my other sister's friend. That was a different person anyway, blah, blah, blah. Point is, can't even wear certain clothes. Like, a girl could not wear pants in that church. So that transitioning has got it. Yeah, that really pushed the envelope for that.
Yeah, that's not on,
that whole
that's
program.
not on their vision board.
That's not on the. I love that. Put that on your vision board.
I think she would have preferred that. I think she would have been fine with me coming out as gay like that. I feel like that would have been fine for her compared to being trans.
Did she say that though?
No, but she's got like I knew this gay person was nice to them once. Like, oh, you deserve a medal.
Shit, the one gay friend.
Yeah, right. But there was a lot. Obviously, we're dealing with it now, right? There's a lot of anti-trans stuff that goes into politics, right? We're the scapegoats right now for.
Yeah.
And that was that was very much so the case when I was coming out, because it was the last election. And, she's very, the type of talking points that were going out from like QAnon, that kind of stuff. So
she was falling for all that and aligning with that. And you can't reason with that, with QAnon. So what have you done? How have you taken care of yourself in this situation? Have you just decided you have a good, first of all, do you have a good support person and a really good therapist?
I have 2 therapists.
Me too. Yeah.
One that can write prescriptions. The other one's just a therapist. But
yeah. So but you do, because when you transition on a good day with a really supportive family, you need a lot of support because it's a huge adjustment. But with a family that toxic and that hateful and hurtful, I hope you have a really good support system.
So when I came out, my middle sister, I still talk to her. She's awesome. We've been closer than ever.
The one that was in trouble a lot.
This is the scapegoat, yeah. So
yes, because those are my people.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, she stayed longer in the church than I did, but when she left it, same thing. She's got 3 kids too, and she had told me that her daughter, her youngest child, had come out as lesbian, and that I took that opportunity that's when I came out to her. It was before I had socially transitioned and stuff. I knew it was coming. She was a great rock for me, and I've had other amazing friends that I met.
I am so glad you have a sibling that's in your corner and supportive. That's awesome. I love her.
Yeah, me too. Her name's Kara. My youngest sister, she never responded to my message when I came out to her, and I'm really sad. The most sad, I should say, about the fact that her 3 kids, I can't have a relationship because, her and her husband have decided that, they don't accept this. So
that's a loss, and it's a loss for them. Mm-hmm. That's what's so sad. Thinking about them losing out on knowing you. Yeah. That's something to be, grieved. So much of my recovery work that I've been doing, I'm in a program for adult children and of dysfunctional families, and it's so much of it is just grieving. It's a lot of grief work and really grieving that. And I mean, maybe there'll be a miracle, or I don't know, like what, but in the interim, you have to really grieve that. I bet you probably had a lot of sad moments about that.
Yeah, I mean, because even through all that, I mean, we still, even as kids, tend to have good memories too, right? Like good things happen too, in spite of all of that. They're not usually complete monsters, right?
Yeah,
so there's
of course.
Still stuff, yeah, like you have to grieve as they come up later, like because. Like I'm no contact with my parents. And I mean, for like the first couple of years, I didn't even celebrate Christmas. It was just, I can't. Like holiday time was a fun time as a kid, right? And you get presents and stuff. So learning to grieve the holidays, which is pretty common, I think, with queer folks, it's part of that process. And then just being able to get to create new memories that you can enjoy.
Yeah, make your own traditions with your family and with your sister. But it's still, because it's hard not to just say, and feel that it would be so nice to have the whole family together. I commend you that's one of the most courageous things. I have other people in my program that go no contact with their family, and I admire it. And I mean, it's just such a huge deal. So I admire your courage, to honor yourself. How are you feeling in your body these days?
I feel amazing. I mean, I've never felt better. And that is, like you said, they don't have the chance to, a family that's cut out now doesn't have the chance to, or they're missing out, right?
They're missing the authentic you in your high vibration, when you're radiant, you have a nice glow, your eyes are clear. I can just, it's just great. It's a sadness that your mom is missing this. And I don't know your dad, but.
Yeah, both of them. Yeah. I mean, they never got to meet the authentic self of me.
Yeah. And that hurts so much that they don't want to, for me anyway, I'm going to speak for myself, because my mother, we had this conversation once where I was saying, had there been a DNA test when I was in utero that said this girl will be a lesbian, and this was when I was lesbian identified, now I identify as pansexual. But I mean, when I told her that, I go, if you had that test like they have for Down syndrome, which also makes me very sad because I know so many cool Down syndrome people, and it's just like, Mom, would you have made the decision to terminate that pregnancy? And she paused way too long and just said, that's a hard question.
Wow.
Whoa, dude. Like,
Is
I'm
it?
like, yeah. And again, oh my gosh, is it a hard question? But I think she would have. I think she and my dad both would have said, well, that's a baby. And I worked with this comedian one time. I think he was like, was I featuring? Yeah. So it was, in the 90s. I came out at 32 as a lesbian. And I just, as soon as I came out, and probably like you, it's the socially coming out. I like that terminology. I don't think I knew that. So there's the social coming out, and then there's the transitioning, or what do you call it? Transitioning, social transitioning.
Yeah. So like the June before I came out socially, I started on hormones.
Oh, okay.
So like I was medically transitioning.
Oh, so that's the sequence. Is that a typical sequence that people do, or is that just what you chose?
That's what I chose. I wanted the hormones to work. I didn't want to like come out and just look super butch, Not too long ago, it used to be where you couldn't actually transition you couldn't get hormones until you lived what they called RLE, which is a real life experience. So you had to like dress up every day, full makeup. You couldn't not have makeup.
And what if you're a tomboy? I mean, because I do know like male to females who are lesbian and not so femmy, but that like there's female tomboys. I mean,
yeah, and I'm not even always super femme. That was, I think, a big reason why I was in the closet for so long is because in my mind, like I didn't grow up with exposure, like especially positive exposure to trans people. It was, Jerry Springer. It was always the butt of the joke. And so that, like most people, I just thought being trans, you're completely, hyper femme. But once I started to understand it, no, you don't, you can just be.
Yeah, you can be
still be lesbian, trans woman, right?
Yes, or anywhere on that gender continuum. You like my identity is female sex, not non-binary. I don't know. I never subscribe to gender roles. Sometimes I dress up. I have long spandex dress. Like I think I look cute in a dress. I don't feel like doing that too often, but sometimes I do. So I don't know if that's gender fluid. I do all those jokes about I can't be gender fluid because I have no gender fluids. But I feel like I was just sitting here earlier thinking, I vibe with like, we're not all like way over on the continuum of really femi or masculine. Some of us do right there in the center of just people.
Yeah, I'm more gender gassy.
Gender fluid, gender gas. We're getting into some science here. Gender bubbles.
Gender solid.
Solid. Yeah, I was trying to go like, what are the other elements? Liquid, solid, or gas? Okay. We got a premise.
I think we do.
We got something going there.
It's in 3 too.
Well, I distracted myself back with something. Oh, it was when I had to follow this comedian when I was. So I still pretty new at comedy, maybe in the 90s. I've been doing it a few years, but I was featuring at Looney's way back when it was called Jeff Valdez, I think, Comedy Club. And this headliner talked about, he was making a point that babies aren't born gay. He was like arguing. And right when I came out, we had Amendment 2 in Colorado, which was this anti-gay thing. Anyway, it was just, so I come out in my set, like I'm coming out in my set. Luckily there was a lesbian bar right next door. So I would go shoot pool after my set, after I heard his bits, because he opened with, people aren't born gay. There's no gay babies. I've never seen a baby go, wah, and then he did this limp wrist thing. And then they laugh. And then he said, that's a baby a dad would kill or shoot. I can't remember if it was kill or shoot. I mean, he just incited a hate crime right after seeing me talk about being a lesbian. And it was just, there was no support back then. It was perfectly acceptable. The club wasn't going to support me. And I'm like, what? And he even was, that's not offensive, is it? I was like, it's very offensive. And I left the building every night after I finished my feature spot. I just went over and shot pool, like on a 2-show night. You have to go back and do the second show. Otherwise, I just left. There are people out there that just are hateful and clueless. And
yeah, those people that are hateful, they shouldn't be grabbing microphones.
Oh, I know. And that's what they do, though. They're not doing that as much anymore. Well, they are in certain settings. It's kind of got the pendulum swung back a little bit where people are doing stuff like that.
That sounds like an open mic joke. It's kind of hacky.
See, I like how you took care of yourself with that. Like, see, you just kind of dismiss the joke. It's kind of hacky, and that helps you feel empowered and not take it too seriously. Where I felt wounded by it and somewhat scared.
It definitely. I think if I had to be in the position of being on the same bill with somebody like that, I would feel equally as uncomfortable.
And back then, I didn't know I could say, I'm out. Also, I was desperate for stage time, and I mean, that was my livelihood. And also, we're used to grin and bear it, keep going. How's it been for you, like doing shows? Has it been comfortable? Not comfortable is a ridiculous word. How's it been in the Denver community in general, or have you met with any issues around your identity doing shows other than the typical, like you have to raise consciousness to do your job? But have you had any issues? Or
I haven't had any problems. It's been a very supportive scene. It was a comic that actually suggested I even try comedy because they had seen me at shows. I think before I started comedy, I was going to about an average of 4 a week.
So you were already thinking about doing it. So
I hadn't even started writing yet, but I knew I wanted to.
Yeah. So you got encouragement.
I got encouragement, and then I think one of the biggest reasons why comedy in Denver is so good is because there is so much collaboration, and there's so many people that understand how good you can get with collaborating with other people and being nice. I thought coming into comedy it would be a bunch of people that were gatekeeping and
yes, really competitive and jealous and all that stuff. No, and we have a rare scene. We really do. And not only that, if somebody needs something, we start GoFundMes, we help people out. So I love that about our community. Also, we are a community where you can give people a tag. Like I already mentioned, I'm kind of a lazy writer, but I welcome it. You go to LA, and I gave somebody a tag in LA. They looked at me with disdain. Like, what have you? It was an insult to them. And I was like, oh, we don't play like that in Denver. Or I did another festival on the East Coast and these New York comics, and there wasn't this camaraderie. It was they felt like they're all like kind of posturing and trying to be the one. And it was just like, wow, it's different. So we're lucky.
Yeah, I've been to Austin and Chicago. Austin was like that, how you said, just people very kind of
standoffish, competitive feeling.
Chicago felt a little more collaborative from my experience.
I haven't been there, so I don't know that scene. I just hear from other comics that come here what a special scene we have. That's cool. So you've already played a couple of big cities outside of Denver.
Yeah, it was through like going there for work or whatever, but I got to do open mic at the Laugh Factory in Chicago, and that was the experience where I felt like they were, people would talk to each other, and I had comics that were local that invited me to their circle to talk and stuff. So it was just it felt a lot more welcoming than Austin did.
I love hearing that. I know you have a day job. Do you feel like that you're going to just keep doing stand up? Do you feel like you got the bug, don't you?
I do. I mean, I love the whole process, writing, polishing jokes. I didn't start comedy to be a comic. I just wanted to get better at, fleshing out a premise, better at expressing myself in creative ways. But when I've had to take breaks, I realized that my mental health's starting to like decline because I don't have this outlet.
Thank you for sharing that. Kind of bring back to my theme of the Traumedy podcast, because isn't it amazing how helpful and healing it is to get that love from an audience when you share your process, get it, and also just, I always talk about the difference between expression and impression. So if we have a trauma that we don't express, it can make an impression on us, make us ill. You know, we got to get that trauma out of our body environment, out of our psyche. And you know, humor just gives you that different perspective, a sense of empowerment, just like what you did with that other guy I was like, he's got all the power and he hurt my feelings. And you're like, I mean, I shouldn't baby talk like that because those are valid feelings. But you're just like, oh, that sounds like a hack joke, you know? So I like how you already took care of yourself on that one. But humor does that, gives you a sense of empowerment, creative expression. How about violin? Does it play into your healing journey in any way? Do you find it helps you to play music?
Oh yeah, I when I was younger, I took violin lessons from age 12 to about 19, and I took private lessons, which was probably one of the better things my parents did for me, is allow me to take lessons. And my teacher is still to this day one of the most important people in my life.
Oh,
because he was somebody who had that. I didn't get at home. He was like, you could tell he loved his family unconditionally, you know, and he really took me under his wing. Like, I think my parents paid for one lesson a week, for like a half hour. And at that time they were paying maybe $10 a week.
yeah.
And this was in the 90s, but he would give me 2-hour-long lessons, take me to the symphony.
He saw something in you.
Yeah. And I was very hungry. Like, he could tell. I mean,
you needed nurturing. You needed a nurturing, loving mentor.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and so he saw that, and
I had the violin, which I could escape to at home, right? I did practice a lot. Because I could just escape and express without words, like, because I couldn't put things to words because I didn't know how I felt.
yeah,
I just knew something was wrong, right? That was my dysphoria. It was malaise. That's how it came out. I'm like, something's wrong. Don't know what it is.
Yeah. Just don't feel connected to myself or something like that. Malaise, not feel quite involved in life. But the music, I like the idea of music too, when you say express without words. And I think about, you know, the fluidity of music. Like, music doesn't care what gender is. Music allows you to have feminine energy and probably some masculine energy, whatever that is. And I know that's probably controversial. I don't know. I get myself in trouble all the time because I'm saying, oh, I don't really subscribe to gender. And then I go saying things like that. So music has been a friend, more than a friend.
Yeah, it was. I put a lot into that. And then when I graduated high school, I was playing in a symphony in Golden, Colorado, the Jefferson Symphony. My teacher at the time, he was the concert master. So my car was stolen while I was in class. I was going to Red Rocks Community College, and I was in class for an hour, and my car was stolen, and my violin was in it because I had rehearsal that night. So that was around the time that I stopped playing mostly, because I wanted to try and do the things that were prescribed to me, be a husband, be a father.
You were already married?
I did that. No, I didn't get married until I was 21, but I was starting to date somebody who would become my wife. So I was trying to, like, okay, this is what I can put myself into now, trying to be a family person.
So when that violin was stolen, was it just so devastating that, or it's just like, well, it's gone? Or
I think it was an excuse, because I was getting to a point where I think if I needed to continue the violin, I had to be honest with myself. I didn't have enough access to myself. Like, I love
what you're saying right now. That you were dissociated a little bit.
Yeah, I was like, while the violin was my rock, I was through puberty and then starting to go out in the world, I was becoming more and more disassociated.
Wow, I'm getting this on a body level now. Because see, I don't play an instrument. So when you are embodying that music is coming through your whole being. And so you you're at that level where you can tell the difference between somebody who's mechanically a player and somebody who embodies the music.
Yeah, I mean, I
And
got
you-
to a point where I knew if I go any deeper, I was scared of. But I didn't think of it like that. I knew it was something was there.
There was a
disconnected.
block. That compartment's going to crack open. This is not on a conscious level, but I am like identifying with this so much because I did that march of like becoming a nurse and, you know, doing the things that I saw my mom do, and then marrying, and then, yeah, because we want to fit in. We want to make everybody happy around us. We want to belong. We want a sense of belonging in our families. And so you did it. You did the march. You got married. You put down the violin because something about it, you just were like, if I keep going on that, something big's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, interesting. I love that you showed up today with your violin. So you're back. You're back.
I am. After I socially transitioned, for the first time in my life at that point, I was able to sit with myself, which I allowed myself to do. So like I'd always kept myself busy to avoid myself.
Sure. Yeah.
So once that started to dissipate, or once I started to feel comfortable that I was like, okay, I can sit with myself for the first time in my life. I remembered how big the violin was in my life. And I mean, I had picked it up. I had played for a few years in a band in Phoenix, did some, jammed with people, but I never really developed it until a couple years ago. And so I set myself a goal for getting into a community symphony. At the time, I really wanted to get in the Denver Philharmonic, which is a really nice orchestra. Super nervous, skills weren't polished enough, so I've been playing with the Aurora Symphony for the last year, and I'm going to be at least one more season with them.
Congratulations. I want to know when you are playing.
Okay.
I would love to come hear you play.
Absolutely.
I probably will cry. And I want to play something that you said you have some things on Instagram. If you're okay with me sharing that. And
For sure.
people can also find you on Instagram at Addie Lynne. And it's ADDIELYNNE.
Yep.
V. V, like vagina.
Yes, like vagina.
Yeah. Addie Lynne V on Instagram. Oh, I'm just excited for you. And you know that just be as big as you can be, and I mean that in the most holistic way, like step into your whole self. That's so exciting. I feel like I'm in my 60s. You're precocious. I mean, I'm still stepping into myself at this age. Still. Can I ask, how's your son doing? How's your son accepting of the transition? And is there anything you want to share about that? You don't have to if you don't want to.
Yes, but we don't really, he lives with his mom and we don't have a huge relationship right now.
But he's with his mom. And what about, so the ex-wife, was she accepting of it, or was she also?
Sort of. That's another person that really, really wanted to frame it for themselves when I came out, and swore up and down that she wouldn't ever use the right name or pronouns, but then came around, but still has some work to do. So I don't think that I don't think they honor my pronouns when they refer to me.
I see. Because of the process going on inside themselves, like I was with a woman, or that's something for her to process, I guess. And yeah, I hope that she grows. I was thinking for myself too, as sometimes I call myself, or people call me Uncle Nance, as my way of the non-binary, because I've thought about trying to change my name. And I also admire that, because it's a lot of work to change your name, work legally, but also with people. And I mean, I've had this like name of Say that has come to me many times, SAY, probably because I like to talk, but also when I do my meditations, I feel like Say I just need to speak truth, and something I wasn't allowed to do as a kid without a lot of problems. So Say feels like an empowered name for me, and it's a verb and I like it, but I don't know. Say, what do you say? I don't know if I'll ever use it. I use it for myself sometimes, or when I meditate. It's almost like my higher self is called say. I don't know.
I like that.
But how do you, well, anyway, I know you got to go. That's probably a lot too many, opening too many topics, but changing your name, yeah, unlearning is one of the hardest things we do. So I'm always try to be forgiving of people. Not that I think I also kind of do cheat with she, they, and then I'm trying to get the gender neutral indefinite pronoun of one to take off. I don't know why that can't take off, but that makes it easy because I give people, like, you can say she or they, but it is a lot for people to learn a new pronoun or unlearn an old name because by rote, it's such a reflex in there. You have to do some sort of active exercise or something for a bit to really change that once you've learned it a certain way. So that's an act of love.
Yeah, and that's not everyone. I mean, I still mess up, sometimes might get the wrong pronoun or whatever, but it just takes some effort. And if there's some shown, that goes a long way. That's where. So I like that you're sharing that. It's sort of like when you go to another country and you make an effort to speak that language. You might be awkward at it. It might be a little chunky and you might mispronounce things here and there, but people do really appreciate, except in Paris, I'm told. No, I don't know. I've been to Paris and I've heard it was really snobby. But like when I go to Nepal, and even if I just use a few words, it's just like, if they just feel, oh, it's respectful and defer. It's like their country. This is you. This is who you are. And I like hearing that you're self-forgiving about when you goof up. And then I even like these reflexes of saying man or dude or whatever, which is really, that's more of my patriarchal language for everybody. And I want to work on that, as not using like, hey guys, or, like there's so much patriarchal language in our culture anyway. I'm just saying I want to make more of an effort to speak in more inclusive language and be self-forgiving, self-loving along the way. Because I think people do have fear, like, I'm going to get in trouble because I'm going to fuck up, And so I guess you're saying you're just, as long as you're making some sort of effort, you're cool. Yeah, exactly. Just rather that, like, the effort and messing up than just not trying or thinking that, or trying to step on eggshells,
So the more you kind of are relaxed with it, and other people are, you do make me feel really comfortable and relaxed, even though I'm nervous all day because I've just been messing up all my electronic stuff since you got here. But things worked out. And how do people find you? So we got the Instagram. Is there anything else? Like, is there any show coming up you'd like to talk about? Or we can see you at the Aurora Symphony.
Yeah, I'll be starting back with the Aurora Symphony next season. On July 11th, I'll be doing the Bear Show. That's Chris Wellman runs that show. I will be completely naked, so I will be.
What?
I'll be showing off my new vagina.
Wait! Oh my gosh! A brand new vagina! Oh, that's right. When you went on stage and did that joke, I think you do a joke about the brand new vagina, right? You said something about it. And I'm like I'm the oldest vagina on the show. Oh wow! You're gonna be naked.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. So that's what the Bear Show is, Bare.
Yep.
It's not a bunch of hairy gay men.
Nope.
Okay. I thought I was picturing Chuck Roy, who's our local comedian, who's a bear. Like his identity is the bear. Mm-hmm. Oh, the Bear Show.
July 11th.
Yeah, 7-Eleven somewhere.
Yes.
I'll find it. I'll put it in the after notes.
Okay, cool.
Well, because that's so amazing. I performed in the nude. I was just talking about this last night. This is on point, okay? Promise. I was talking about this with this nurses conference I was doing, and I said I performed in the nude. I can't remember how the topic of a merkin came up. If you haven't heard of a merkin, it is a wig for pubic hair. And somebody pulled it up on their phone, and it's made of real hair, but I guess it's for balding people. Because I said I'm of an age where my estrogen has fallen off, and I was, there's a lot of comedians who do jokes about a comb over. But anyway, I was just telling this friend of mine, Anthony Crawford, he does a nude show at Mountain Air Ranch, which is a nudist, body positive environment here in Colorado. It's a family friendly place. I mean, but I thought, in all my days, I've never performed in the nude. So I did that in my 60s. And I have to say it was very empowering. So I think you're going to have a really empowering experience performing in the nude.
I'm excited for that. I did offer to do the show before my surgery to have a before and after, but it never worked out. So it's
happening now. That's really courageous too. So before your surgery, where you had some of your male anatomy, but you're identifying as female, that's really cool too. I bet people would learn a lot. And I'm sorry that didn't happen, because I think that might have opened a lot of minds, but this will as well.
I think so.
And you're going to have a lot of fun. The main thing we're doing is having fun.
Exactly.
Yeah. Thank you, Addie Lynne. Thanks for coming on the program. I know you have to get up so early in the morning, so I appreciate you making the time and putting up with all my technical difficulties.
Not a problem. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm excited for you. All right. See you next time.
All right. I'll see you.
I want to thank my guest, Addie Lynne. You may know this is Addie Lynne playing violin on a track from her Instagram account, Addie Lynne V, as in Virginia or vagina, depending on your comfort level. You say Virginia, I say vagina. Addie Lynne V on Instagram. Go see Addie Lynne in the Aurora Symphony and look in the show notes. You'll find where the Bear Show is in Denver on July 11th. And also please look at my link tree for any upcoming shows. I'm doing a lot of Nurses Off the Charts comedy shows and Moms Unhinged, as well as all kinds of fun shows. I'll be up at Snowmass, Colorado for the comedy festival up there. Remember, every week, a new episode, Traumedy Tuesdays. And no matter what, keep laughing.